and we're live. Amazing. So today I really wanted to have a chat about working from home and the guilt that comes along with it. I've spoken to loads of people recently, parents, people who aren't parents, and there seems to be this vein of guilt that's running through people's minds at the moment. And also, what's very interesting is, the post-COVID era, we're going to have new working patterns, which is going to be very interesting, and the working from home is going to be even more prominent. So it's going to be really interesting to discuss that. And today, I'm joined by Kelly Smith O'Hara, who runs our executive search and executive coaching practices out of New York. She's got 4 kids. She's got a husband. She works remotely. And so really interesting. We've had a lot of conversations about guilt and working from home and how to organize ourselves. So Kelly, great to have you on the call.
Yes, I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Pleasure. How are you? What's been going on?
I am good. It's been crazy. I mean, of course it has in the COVID-19 era. I feel like this is a time I don't think we're ever going to forget. I mean, a lot of people are,
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say like what 90% of the people are working from home. This is something I've done for a long time. So for me, this is not new, but I know it's a massive adjustment for everybody else.
So how have you organized yourself at home? Like, how does it work? 4 kids, your husband, it must be crazy just to balance the different priorities.
It is crazy, but I think that, first of all, remote work has come a long way. And I think that, for a long time, working parents were, fighting for the flexibility in their work and in the workplace. And I've been doing this for a long time. I've been doing it for, 5 to 6 years working from home. And I think that you have to set yourself a schedule. And I mean, for me, I rely on getting up before my kids get up. I find that getting up super early and getting, fitting in focused work before the
Yeah.
kids get up works best for me. I'm not going to, be working on the most important things while they're awake or they're going to be interrupting me. So then I try to get that real the focused work out of the way in the beginning. And then throughout the day, I fit in my phone calls, I, do my follow-up emails, any kind of shorter tasks are things that I do throughout the day. Now it's different, before COVID-19 and they were at school, it was a different story. But now that they're home, I've got to kind of adjust, but that's sort of what I do.
Yeah. Before COVID, did you feel like people didn't think you were working as hard as someone in the office? Because there's always this kind of little stigma attached to, oh, she's working from home. Did you find that, or not so much?
Yes, I did find that a lot. I found that, a lot of that's hard with your coworkers or, even if you have direct reports. I think that a lot of the times when I first started working from home, I had people say to me, "Oh, lucky you get to spend all your day in your pajamas." And it's it's a total myth because, you know, it's it's not really the reality. You're not working in your pajamas and you do try to get up and make a structured schedule. And,
Yeah.
it's very different. I think you've got to get past the stigma of people and worrying about what your employees think of you.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that it's a problem. I mean, listen, I think that you know, like people who work at home feel like their offsite or their on-site colleagues don't treat them equally, and they feel like um, you know you've got it easier than they do, and you're able to go out for walks in the middle of the day, and you're doing all these things that they can't do. But that's not necessarily true. I think that there's more of a juggle working at home, and I think it's more challenging than being in the office.
Yeah.
You're isolated. Also, one of the downsides of working at home is that you have that people have a lot of trouble turning off the work mode and unwinding it during the day or at the end of the day. It's hard
Yeah.
at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock or whatever you're used to working until to say, okay, I'm going to shut my computer down and I'm not going to do any work. I think it's really hard. You know,
Yeah.
But you do have to kind of create the spatial boundaries around that, like, you have when you're going to work. So
Yeah.
remote work blurs the lines and workers, and you've got to like reinstate the boundaries, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because a lot of people talk about work-life balance, and they've been talking about it for a while. And a lot of the time, that means like flexi working or working a little bit from home. But now, what I found by speaking to people is that actually there isn't as much of a boundary as there was before. Like you can, like I go to work, and then I come home, and my home is my home, my work is my work. Whereas now, when everyone's working from home, because now everyone is working from home, okay, bar people who are doing manufacturing, construction, and stuff like that. But
Right.
if you're doing kind of a traditional office job, you're working from home. Now I'm finding a lot of people are working longer. They say they work longer. They say that people are not respecting their working hours. Like if it's 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the evening, they know someone's at home. They're going to contact you. They're going to email you. They're going to call you. So it's really interesting, and I think a lot of people are finding it quite hard to adjust to it.
Oh, I
You
think
know?
it's a big adjustment. And it's interesting because, looking at my husband who has never worked from home and who's now working at home, I keep saying to him, you've got to turn it off. And he's not turning it off at all. I mean, he's been working, till 9, 10 o'clock at night, taking phone calls, you're checking your emails. I also think that this period, this COVID-19 period is really unique. This is not the normal, this is not normal for anyone to be working from home. And I think that, what's happening in New York right now is that a lot of people are not going to be going back until September 1st. So that's a long time to adjust to this. And then I think it's going to be interesting to see what the companies do. It's going to take some time for everyone to get used to this. It's going to take time getting people back into their offices, and I think that people need to do the best they can. Get up, you get dressed. There's something that's called, it's really interesting, psychologists called enclothed cognition, which is when we wear something that holds like symbolic significance, like your
Yeah,
work suit, for example, where we behave in a certain way. And I think that when you get up and you get dressed and you take a shower, these are all things that are going to help you feel like you're in the office. And
yeah,
I think that, as people are going to listen to this podcast, they're going to go, yes, we've heard this before. We've heard this before. But it does work. But you have to remind yourself that it's important to work better than to work longer. And that's the
definitely.
issue. It's the quality of the work you produce is more important than the amount of time you spend at your desk. So
Definitely.
you can do, like, for me, I'm most productive in the mornings. I work really well, like 7 in the morning to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And then I gotta take a break. I feel like that's where my most important work gets done in the morning. I'm the
Yeah.
most fresh.
Yeah, it's true, and on you're right. The working patterns are changing a lot, and I speak to a lot of parents, and so on the guilt thing is that they're feeling guilty that some people can't work more than 4 hours a day. If you've both your husband and wife are at home, two young kids that you can't just leave to get on with it. One's got to look after them in the morning, one's got to look after them in the afternoon, and then the parents are feeling guilty that they're not working long enough, they're not doing much work. I think there's a lot of that going through people's minds at the moment.
Oh, I do too, and I think that there is a phenomenon, a legitimate term called WFH, this work from home. It's called WFH guilt, and it's like this perception that you ought to be physically present in the office, worrying that others will assume you're contributing less than if you're office bound. And it's like this crazy thing that's like, has come about, work from home guilt. And I think it's really true. And I think that a lot of people are always, like, if they're working from home, have like, I'm going to ask the people out here who are listening, have you ever found yourself over explaining how productive you were during the week to your boss? Are you on the phone with your boss checking in and going, oh, I did this and I did that and I got this done and I got that done. I checked this email and I followed up with this person. If that's going on, and I know it may sound ridiculous, but Yeah, WFH guilt is a real thing. And it's like this shameful feeling you get as a result of having a flexible job. And ultimately, the guilt is tied to what people think you're doing versus what you're actually doing. And that's
Or what you think people think about you.
exactly. And it's really the guilt. You can't get so caught up about what people think you're doing. If you know you're being productive and you know that you're producing, I say this all the time, the stats are in your favor. So if you're producing and you're productive, stop feeling guilty about it. If you're
Yeah.
getting your work done, like if you were in the office, let's say, 9 to 5, people are, they've got to get up from their desks, they're at the water cooler, people are interrupting them, they're getting pulled into meetings, and a lot of the times, I mean, you're in these corporate meetings, meeting to meeting to meeting, and you're getting nothing done. You get back to your desk at the end of the day, and then, you're totally stressed out because you've been in meetings all day. It's very different now that people are working at home. They're super duper productive in a shorter amount of time.
Yeah.
So there's this guilt tied around time.
Well,
So
a lot of the time in offices, like you want to be the last person there. Like historically, it was like you want to be seen to be in the office. Whereas
yes,
actually, maybe now we're seeing a bit of a move towards like delivering stuff. Like
oh,
this is
I,
what I've
I,
delivered. This is what I've been productive. It doesn't matter how long it's taken you. Like
right.
if you've been working for a long time, you've learned your trade, you've learned to be productive and skillful in things, and maybe it takes you less time than someone who's still learning it, and that's fine, right? I think it's about delivering quality work versus, hey, I've been in the office and I've been working for 12 hours a day. um,
Yes.
but I think the mindset of people, it's getting people getting used to working from home and maybe telling their boss or showing their boss, their line manager, what they've done. But also for leaders now, leaders are adjusting too. They're also working from home for the first time, possibly. They're trying to learn how to lead in these new times, how to
Right.
make the team feel like they're part of a team, and it's okay to work from home, and it's okay to look after your kids. So I think everyone's going through the same adjustment.
Exactly, and I think, I say this all the time. Listen, everybody makes their to-do lists, and, at the end of the day, and when you decide to shut down and you're making your to-do list for the next day, just forgive yourself for the things that you didn't get done and celebrate the things that you did get done. And maybe your day didn't run as smoothly as you wanted to. I mean, listen, I have been on phone calls, where my dog is barking in the background, my
Mhm.
kids are interrupting me, and it's really funny because 20 years ago, or I should say 21 years ago, my oldest is 21. When he was born and I was on maternity leave and working from home, I was working with a big Wall Street client, and there were times when I was on the phone and I had to, like, cover the phone while I was changing the diaper, and I was so afraid that the person on the other line was gonna, be horrified that I was changing a diaper while doing work. And, it's so funny, but that was 20 years ago. I think things have changed. I think if you're changing a diaper and you're on the phone with a client, I don't think it's gonna be catastrophic. I think
Well,
people say, "Hey, you know what? That mother's doing the best that she can. She's trying to, hold everything together at home and then keep her job, and she's following up and she's delivering." Whatever's going on in the background is going on in the background. If you're producing, that's it. You're
there's
producing.
and she's got 2 jobs. She's got a job
Yes.
as a parent, mother, and she's got a job, whatever the other job she's doing. A lot of people now have 3 jobs because they're also teaching their kids as well, as
Yes.
homeschooling. So, like, it's crazy. Some people have moved from 1 job to 3, from 2 to 3. Like, everyone's in the same scenario, really,
And I
just
think
trying
the people that are in 3 jobs, I can't even, that is the stress level of that is really significant. And I think another deeper conversation we could have in another podcast is the HR people going forward are going to have to recreate a workplace that's going to be able to make all these accommodations. And I think it's, there's a massive psychological impact to all of this and how their employees are feeling too in all of this,
Yeah,
because it's just so extraordinary. But I think the
definitely.
most important thing is like everyone needs to stop torturing themselves with this guilt that we've conjured up from like totally unrealistic expectations of our productivity.
Yeah.
Um, Instead of feeling guilty of doing nothing, or they feel like, oh, well, I'm working from home, or employees look down on them, oh, they work remotely, oh, they're working in their pajamas, they get to do whatever they want, they go for runs in their lunch hour, or whatever goes on, or they're running to the grocery store in the middle of the day, running an errand, or maybe they're preparing dinner while they're on a phone call. But stop
It's
doing that.
true.
Look at this as like, this is a time that, we've been able to slow down in other ways. So look at it as a time for inspiration and restoration and a time to allow for creativity too, you know, in this.
100%. 100%.
So
I've actually been feeling really guilty because I go into the office 5 days a week normally, and I see my clients and candidates and all these things. Now I'm working from home, and I usually do my exercise in the morning or in the evening. But I've had to like pick up my kids because my wife works in hospital. So my luckily for us, the schools take our children. So I drop them off, but I have to like drop them off. I pick them up. So I'm working like shorter hours that I would do. I've been fitting in my exercise at 1 p.m. during the day. I never work out during the day, and I've been feeling so guilty that
right.
I've been working out in the middle of the day. I feel like I'm not doing any work, and then I'm getting off early to go pick up my kids at 3 o'clock. So it's just been a really big adjustment. And then what you realize is that it's not what you think about that's important. It's how you think about what you think about, you know? So this is a scenario. We're all in it. Why am I feeling guilty about it? It's only hurting myself. No one else, I'm not affecting anyone else. I'm just affecting my own mood, which then affects my productivity, which affects my mindset, so until you realize that, just it's not it's how you think about things that's important,
I
then you start.
agree. I agree. The only upside, I mean, well, there's not a lot of upsides to being shut down in quarantine, but the upside is that this perception of working from home is really going to change. I think that the people that are working remotely versus the people that are working in the office, I think there's going to be an incredible amount of understanding and empathy for the people who are working from home and the challenges that everyone's going to be that they're dealing with, whether it's you're a stay-at-home mom, or you now have to work remotely because your office is telling you that they don't want to pay the rent anymore because they can't afford it post COVID-19. So listen, I think that it's this traditional view of people working from home like they're working in their pajamas all day long. I think that that's going to end. I
That's
think
it,
there's
yeah.
going to be flexibility, and I think people are going to be much more understanding. And I don't think that there will be jealousy anymore that, oh, you get to work at home and I don't. And it's actually very funny because my husband said after working from home, the last, almost 3 months, he's like, I never want to work home again. Like, I never want to work home from again. Now that he's been doing it, he's like, this is not where I want to be. I want to be in the office. But then
Yeah.
some people are going to be forced to work at home and they're not going to want to be there.
Some are
So,
gonna be forced, some are gonna want. I think hopefully people get more choice now. If
yeah, I think they
you
will too.
yeah, like if you feel like you're more productive working a bit from home and a bit from the office, great. If you wanna go in 5 days a week, great.
Right,
If you want to stay home. I think in the UK, where I am in London, they're talking about introducing an employment law which says that employers must let people work from home if they want to and they're able to. I think that might come in. So it'll be
right,
interesting to see how that develops.
right.
Um, But we'll certainly have more choice, and a lot of things that I've heard recently, and we're doing exec coaching, as you know, and a lot of leaders that contact us are asking us how they lead properly in this environment, because it's quite challenging. Suddenly, you've got a team where some work from home, some are in the office. You want to make sure that you're including everyone, people feel part of the team. Like it's very difficult. A lot of leaders are running Zoom calls now. You know, some people have their cameras on, some people don't. You don't know how engaged people are. You don't know if they're getting a bit tired with all of the video calls, because there's been a lot of video calls recently. So going forward is going to be fascinating. We're going to have to learn a lot of new skills. We're going to learn how to adjust our patterns, how to lead properly. You know, I'm actually, to be honest, really excited about the post-COVID era and what it's going to look like.
It is going to be epic. It's the only thing I can say. It's as I said, the HR people, particularly the people that write the policies and the procedures. I mean, the people that are putting together, this workplace structure are going to be very busy, and they're going to have to work really closely with the C-suite on, what they want it to look like.
Yeah.
Um, it's going to be really interesting. So I think it's going to be for the better. I think companies are going to realize they had overhead that they, especially in rent. You know, why do they have all these people in the office? I know that there's a big debate. I think it was the what is it, the COO of Facebook. There was another executive, maybe from IBM, that they all said, "No, we need collaboration. I want people working side by side." I think I see that the point of some of that, but I still think that you can still be productive. There can still be a balance. You can still maybe people will go into the office maybe 2 days a week, maybe 3 days a week. I don't think the traditional going into the office 5 days a week is going to happen anymore. I just don't. Maybe some people will, but maybe it'll be the people will be going in shifts. Certain
Yeah.
departments will work Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then maybe HR will come in Tuesday and Thursday. I mean, who knows how it's going to work? But I do think that it might be more of like, 3 days a week in the office, 2 days at home, or vice
Yeah. No,
versa.
and we've been operating like that. You know, we're colleagues and we're in different parts of the world. We have global clients, and so we do a lot of video calls like this. And then we have people in the office in London. We have remote workers. We travel to the US. Yeah, I mean, it's a very fluid thing. And for what we do, I think it's important if you're hiring for someone. Is it's great to meet them in person. We get
Yes.
so
Yes.
there's that. Videos are good too. You can interview people and stuff. So I think for us, a mix of all of it is really good. And it's going to be different for different jobs. It depends what you do. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be very different from what it was before. And it's just amazing how quickly it's all changed in a matter of like 3-4 months.
Exactly. I just think the key is just to give yourself the flexibility. And I think that the leaders have to give their employees the flexibility. I mean, I will give a shout out to, one of my old bosses who was amazing. I mean, from the minute I had my first child, Peter always gave me flexibility. He was incredibly understanding. He never said, "Why aren't you in the office?" Or when he never, hounded me like, "When are you coming in again?" He was like, "Do what you need to do. Come in when you need to get here. See your applicants, see your clients. Get to Manhattan when you need to get to Manhattan." And I always did.
Yeah,
When I need to meet people. I mean, I love meeting people, and I don't like to interview candidates through a call. I'd much rather, meet them in person. And now I don't even know if I can shake their hand because how do you even see an applicant or a client now and you can't say, "Hi, nice to meet you"? Is it going to be, an elbow bump? Is it going to be a fist bump? uh,
yeah, it's so weird now.
yeah, I'm going to miss that. But I want the face to face. Of course, we all do. But it's just going to be a balancing act for everybody. So
Yeah, yeah. But I think
people,
it's good, we have like more choice now. It will get back. Things will start opening up, um,
yes.
For sure. I mean, we've had things in London just start gradually opening up. Like it's going to be a while before things get really open up, but it's going to start, and it's we just have to adjust. And you're right, not feel guilty about things, do what we can, and yeah, see how it all turns out.
Exactly, exactly. And I think again, I just it's about creating the boundaries, opening up your day with a task, end your day with a complimentary task. You know, I tell people, they ask me, you've been working from home for so long, like, how do you do it? Do you get bored? Do you feel isolated? I sometimes I feel isolated, but not that much. If you're really engaged with your work and you're talking to people on the phone, I don't think you feel isolated. I think if you're feeling isolated, then you're not talking to people and you're not engaging with your coworkers, let's say that are back in the office. But
Yeah.
start tracking your work hours and use the work hours as a reference point. If you need to make time adjustments, if you need to cut back or add other work that you should be doing, then you do it. It's going to take time. I think everyone's figuring it out. But again, I keep saying, like, stop torturing yourself with guilt from these
Absolutely
unrealistic expectations of productivity. Everyone's doing the best that they can.
true.
So,
What a beautiful place to end. Great to chat,
yes,
and we'll do more.
awesome. Thank
Awesome.
you so much. And I love that. Listen, you're in London and I'm in New York, and we make it work every day. We jump on our phone calls together, and I think we're making it work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Good stuff.